Your photos are not bad because you don't know enough about camera settings. They're not bad because you used ISO 800 instead of 400. They're not bad because you're at f4 and maybe you should have been at f8. And they're definitely not bad because you're not a human light meter who can magically predict which shutter speed you need just by licking your finger and sticking it in the air. Look, if camera settings were the secret to becoming an award-winning photographer, every single person watching this video right now would have more awards than Diddy has skeletons in his closet. And that's because memorizing numbers isn't what photography is all about. Now, don't get me wrong, they have their place, but it's only a very small slice of the pie. In reality, most professional photographers don't actively think about settings once they're shooting, beyond making sure they haven't accidentally set the camera to ISO 1 million whilst the camera was rattling around in their camera bag. Why? Well, actually, there are a few very good reasons, which we'll obviously discuss in just a moment, as well as me giving you a stupidly simple camera setup that you could lock in and forget about so that you can stop thinking about camera settings as much as I do about Sydney Sweeney's smile. It's definitely the smile I like. After that, you can finally put your attention where it actually matters, and that's on capturing the scene right in front of you. So, why do so many people obsess over camera settings? Well, it's rarely anything to do with a lack of technical knowledge. It's actually to do with something that I like to call setting blindness. That's when all of your attention goes into the numbers, we're talking shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, and none of it goes into what's actually happening in front of you. And the reason for this is pretty simple. Your brain very easily latches onto settings because they feel learnable, they feel safe, and they seemingly provide all of the answers. But in reality, they're really not as important as you might think they are. No, things like light, timing, composition, mood, relationships between things in the frame, all of these are infinitely more important, but the reason why most photographers don't obsess over them quite as much is because, just like my previous relationships, they're messy, require deep analyzation, and time to fully understand and master. So instead, people go for the cleaner, easier, and more logical route of obsessing over the numbers and the idea of gaining a correct exposure rather than actually trying to achieve artistic merit, which is actually what photography is all about. They tweak, they chimp, and they dive into settings menus like there's some kind of secret level hidden in there somewhere that will allow them to capture pro-level shots without any effort. But that said, I do need to make an important clarification, before the trolls practically trip over themselves on the way to the comments section. This video is not an anti-learning video. I'm not anti-technical knowledge or anti-manual mode for that matter. Learning the basics about shutter speed, aperture, and ISO and how that affects an image is of course the foundation of photography. But once you've understood that, it's then all about getting your priorities straight if you really want to improve your photography. Because focusing on settings too much will actively make you a worse photographer. Why? Well, firstly, it creates decision fatigue. Every photo instantly becomes a maths problem, and before you know it, you're mentally exhausted before you've even pressed the shutter. Secondly, it leads to way more missed moments. Whilst you're busy obsessing about which settings to dial in, the thing you wanted to actually photograph has already happened, the light has gone, or that interesting person you spotted on the street has gotten married, had kids, and settled into retirement, all before you've even had a chance to press the shutter. Thirdly, and honestly this is the big one, your attention just gets hijacked. Instead of learning what really matters, which is being able to observe and capture what's happening around you, you instead train yourself to just, guess. You guess exposure, you guess at the numbers, you guess at the settings, at which point you're not really learning photography anymore, you're basically just playing roulette. And if you've watched my last video, you probably already know this, but practice only works when your attention is intentional, and you can click up here if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about. Look, in short, you cannot learn awareness whilst your brain is knuckle deep in settings menus.
10 out of 10, papi! Ooh!
So, how do we fix all this? Well, before we dive into that, I first need to discuss another problem that I recently fixed. You see, for years I avoided wet shaving entirely, not because I loved using an electric razor, but because I convinced myself that wet shaving was some kind of ancient masculine knowledge passed down from father to son, which in my case never happened, but I'll save that story for my therapist. So I just assumed that wet shaving would be fiddly, uncomfortable, and a really good way to remove half of my face just before work. Well, it turns out I was totally wrong. The problem was never wet shaving, it was that I'd never actually found the right razor. But thanks to Henson Shaving, who are also the sponsors of this episode, I've completely changed my mindset when it comes to wet shaving. Their AL13 razor holds a single blade with ridiculous stability and locks into the correct shaving angle automatically. You physically can't press too hard and you can't mess up unless you actively try. That means less irritation, less redness, and for the first time ever, shaving stopped feeling like a dangerous excursion I had to survive. But honestly, don't just take my word for it. Now is a great time to try it for yourself, because if you use the link in the pinned comment below, Henson are currently offering 100 free blades with the purchase of one of their razors. That'll give you about 2 to 3 years of shaving, well, unless you've got the facial hair of a yeti with a hormone issue. Anyway, enough about that, because this is the part of the video where you'll either love or deeply resent me. But either way, you need to lock in some camera settings, so go ahead and grab your camera and follow along if you feel like that would be helpful. Firstly, we need a fast enough shutter so that you're not going to get all blurry shots from shooting handheld, so let's say about 2/50th of a second. Next, we need a narrow enough aperture so that most things are in focus, even if you or the camera happen to misfocus everything. So I'm going to set this to 5.6. Then set the camera to auto ISO, because this will give you and the camera some flexibility as the light changes in your scene, and that's it. You're done. Put the camera down and stop touching things. And before anyone starts foaming at the mouth, no, these are not the perfect settings for every single situation. I totally get that. If you're shooting things like sports, wildlife, or anything that moves faster than your attention span, then obviously this isn't the technically correct setup. But for most everyday photography, like street, travel, landscapes, or just capturing candid moments of your family, these settings will get you sharp, usable images 90% of the time. And just for clarity, this is not a permanent solution that you'll use forever. Think of these settings as training wheels. They'll get you moving without the fear of toppling over before you even had a chance to get going. The idea here is that this is all about removing the camera as a distraction so that you're finally free to look at the world instead of your rear screen. There's an old photography saying that goes F8 and be there. Essentially what that means is show up, pay attention, stop obsessing over the settings. Now some people do take this saying way too literally and think that it's telling you that you should shoot everything at F8 like some kind of lunatic, which ironically is just another example of settings blindness. The point is, most forms of photography aren't about finessing settings constantly. It's way more about actually being present and capturing the moment. So once your settings are no longer screaming for your attention like a needy toddler, what should you actually be thinking about? Well, this is where photography will actually start feeling different. You need to start noticing where the light is coming from, not how bright it is, but how it's behaving. Whether it's flattening a face or carving shape into it, whether it's wrapping gently around your subject or slicing straight through the scene like a knife. Contrast knife. You'll also need to start paying more attention to people, not really as subjects, but as moving parts within the entire frame. Think about who's going to step forward, who's hesitating, who looks like they're about to do something interesting that's worth capturing. Half of the time, the difference between a forgettable photo and a good one is about 2 seconds. It's the difference between waiting for somebody to leave the frame or turn their head or step into a nice pool of light instead of just rushing in and snapping away like a Labrador that's just seen its favorite tennis ball. Now, none of this is complicated and none of it requires more gear, but most importantly, you'll see none of it if your attention is buried in the menu. Automating settings like this doesn't make you lazy or a cheat. It clears space for you to actually think about the photography you're making. And anyone who tells you otherwise either has a deeply rooted kink for camera settings or just doesn't really want you to succeed. They want you to become an exposure robot. Good photographers notice more. Great photographers miss fewer moments, but none of that comes from memorizing numbers. It comes from being present enough to see what's right in front of you consistently.